3 weeks later, Evan walks through the same forest, unable to stop thinking about the mother bear who left without her cub. The snow is thinner now. Spring is waking the trees, and birdsong hums gently in the canopy overhead. But Evan doesn't notice any of it. His thoughts keep circling back to the tent, the silent bond in the cold, and the look in the mother's eyes the morning she finally turned and walked away. No one had stopped her. No one had tried. She had lingered just long enough to see her cub breathing steadily, nestled under a heat lamp, eyes closed in peaceful sleep. Then she'd taken one last look at Evan, just one, and vanished into the pines. Now, every day, Evan finds himself staring at the tree line again, waiting, wondering. The cub, Hope, they've named her, is strong now. Small for her age, but ferocious in spirit. She chews through everything, climbs on anything. Her favorite thing to do is knock over the camp's orange safety cones and stack them with her paws like toys. But she's restless, distracted. Almost every evening she pads to the edge of the enclosure and sits facing the woods, silent, watchful, listening. She doesn't know why, but something out there is pulling at her. She's looking for her mother, Rena says one evening, arms crossed as she watches the cub. Even if she can't remember her exactly, she feels it. Evan nods, like a thread between them, invisible, but never gone. The camp debates next steps. Some suggest transferring Hope to a wildlife sanctuary. Others recommend eventual release, but only if it's certain she can survive alone. Evan disagrees with both. I don't think she's supposed to be alone. One quiet morning, Evan hikes back to the place where it all started, the near-frozen creek where he first found the dying cub under a bush. The snow has melted down to slush. The branches are bare, but something feels familiar. Then he sees them. Tracks. Large, heavy paw prints in the thawed mud. Not old, but not fresh either. Just a few days, and they lead deeper into the woods. He follows them, past the creek, through a stretch of birch, around a bend. Then, there, a den, hollowed under a rock shelf, hidden behind overgrown brush. Abandoned, but used. Recently. Inside are scattered fish bones, remnants of bedding, and clumps of fur. Long, coarse strands, the same he remembered brushing from Hope's coat when she first arrived. Evan kneels just outside the opening, brushes his fingers through the dirt. She's alive. Somewhere out here, she's alive. And maybe she's waiting, too. That night, Evan stands at the edge of camp, watching Hope stare out again from her enclosure. He makes a decision. The next morning, before dawn breaks, he opens the reinforced gate and leads her out gently with a trail of dried berries and salmon. She follows, cautious but curious, lumbering behind him with slow, careful steps. The team doesn't interfere. They just watch. Cameras rolling. Evan leads her through a narrow path behind camp, a controlled perimeter they've prepared for test roaming. Fenced naturally with downed logs and rock, open enough to let her explore, but safe enough to retrieve her if needed. He sits on a flat rock near the center clearing and lets her move at her own pace. Hope sniffs at the air. Her ears perk. Her eyes shift to the trees. She pauses, frozen, staring. And then she makes a noise, a chuffing sound, soft, familiar. Evan straightens. He follows her gaze. From the misty line of trees beyond the ridge, something moves. A large shadow, slow, wavering, limping. Then the trees part, and there she is, the mother bear. Thinner, gaunt, her fur matted, ribs faintly visible beneath the shaggy coat. But her eyes, those golden, mournful eyes, burn with unmistakable awareness. She steps into the clearing without hesitation, slowly, one paw at a time. Her breath fogs gently in the cool air. Hope lets out a high-pitched squeal and runs forward. Not with the wobble of a cub, but with sudden, unstoppable urgency. The mother's steps quicken. They meet at the center, nose to nose. Then a sound emerges. A deep, resonant rumble from the mother's chest. A low, vibrating purr, an emotional frequency scientists don't yet understand. Not a growl, not a warning. Recognition. Hope presses into her, buries her face in the thick fur. The mother lowers her massive head and wraps her body around the cub. Protective. Whole. The team watches in silence. The cameras keep rolling, but no one dares speak. Evan doesn't move. He just wipes his eyes and lets the moment happen. Minutes pass like lifetimes. Then the mother bear lifts her head, eyes scanning the clearing. She sees Evan. She steps forward, cub still pressed against her leg, and closes the distance until she's only feet away from him. Evan stands, doesn't flinch. She looks at him, for a long, deliberate moment. Not as a threat, not as prey, but as something else. Her jaw twitches. Her breath is calm, and then she bows her head. Just once. Slow. Intentionally. Evan's breath catches. It's not submission. It's acknowledgement. She turns, nudges Hope gently, and begins to walk, back toward the trees. Hope hesitates, looks back. Her eyes meet Evan's. He kneels, smiles. "Go on, little one. You found your way home." And Hope turns and follows her mother into the forest. The team doesn't stop her. The cameras don't move. Evan just watches until the last shadow disappears into the trees. Back at camp, no one says much for a while. They review the footage in silence. Then again. Then again. Rena finally speaks. This changes everything. Evan nods slowly. It's not just instinct. It's not just survival. There's something deeper out there. Something we keep pretending only belongs to humans. Felix exhales. That bear trusted you. She trusted all of us, Evan says, because she had to, because she chose to. Weeks later, a short documentary clip goes viral online, footage of the reunion between Hope and her mother. It racks up millions of views in hours. Scientists begin calling it a once-in-a-generation encounter. But for Evan, the fame isn't what stays with him. It's the silence of that final look, that final bow, the way something wild had remembered kindness and returned for it. And sometimes, on quiet mornings, when the mist rolls across the Alaskan forest and the wind whispers low, Evan thinks he hears a familiar chuff in the distance. He smiles. Hope is out there. She made it, and her mother never forgot. The end.